What's going on, everybody? I hope you're having an amazing day. There's a bombshell report that Trump, I'm not going to say the word, or maybe I'll say it since it's going to come up multiple times, shithole countries that he called a bunch of African countries and Haiti. They're shithole countries, and I don't want to protect the people from there. I'm going to dive deep into this actual article that's written and spread all over social media. It's all over the mainstream media, so bear with me. Check out this report, and if you want to be lied to, watch the television, read mainstream news, just check out what your friends are gossiping on social media. But if you want the truth, please follow along for this whole cast. And as always, you can follow me on Instagram at DreamRare. You can follow me on Twitter at Legendary Energy. I have shirts at dreamrare.com. My website's legendary.vision, and I have a podcast, Rare Talk Podcast. But right now, none of that's important because this is very, very key. This is very important, and watching this video will help you be able to debunk and get through mainstream media articles and how they actually operate. I've covered it multiple times, and this is the perfect one to show you exactly how the mainstream media operates. So you're going to see all over the news. You're going to see the original report came from the Washington Post. We're going to get into who the Washington Post actually is, so please stay tuned if you want to know who the Washington Post is, because I'll tell you who the newspaper is and why they have no reason to ever say anything nice about Trump or try to back Trump. They have every reason to go against Trump. I'm going to tell you why in a second. But also, I want to get into the actual article and how it spread wildfire. You'll see it in CNN. You're going to see it on MSNBC, Vox, Huffington Post, social media, Facebook, Twitter. It's featured everywhere. It must be the realest story ever, right? The fact that it's wildfire spread everywhere. I'm reading you the exact article. Here's the proof that they have that this was said. And once again, if it was said, we'll find out. You know, we'll find out in the long run. So I'm not making excuses for anyone. I know people are, oh, you're going to do this and that. No, I'm going to tell you the truth. And from here, you can decipher what's going on. And we'll find out in the future. Here's the proof that they have in the article. If you read, I'm going to read the first two paragraphs of the actual article. And this is the article that everyone else is reporting on. The report came from the Washington Post. Everyone else that's sharing this story are just like little rabid hyenas feasting off of this Washington Post story. They don't know anything. So here's the story. President Trump grew frustrated with lawmakers Thursday in the Oval Office when they discussed protecting immigrants from Haiti, El Salvador, and African country as a bipartisan immigration deal, according to several people briefed on the meeting. Why are we having all of these people from shithole countries come here? And this is in quotes, like it's an official quote. Trump said, according to these people, referring to countries mentioned by the lawmakers. So this is their bombshell proof. This is their proof of how it was said. They said, according to several people briefed on the meeting, Trump said, according to these people. So their big bombshell proof, who said that Trump said that? So now we're at the point of a rumor. Trump didn't say that. It's somebody saying that somebody said it. It's Washington Post saying that somebody said that Trump said that. And this is not me making this up. This is in the actual article. They have no source. First of all, prove that Trump said it. If you're going to make this a national claim, I'm not saying you can't suggest it, but the fact that everyone is so dumb to believe this stuff. I don't care if it's about Hillary Clinton. I don't care if it's about Barack Obama. I don't care if it's about my neighbor. How pathetic and disgusting of a society are we becoming that we can make a mainstream headlined story, a featured story that the whole world believes, off of somebody saying that somebody said that somebody said that Trump said something. And this is the actual article. I'm going to go to the further in the article where it says otherwise. Why do we need more Haitians? Trump said, according to people familiar with the meeting. So the next claim is not from the people in the meeting. It's not they said that they said that they said. It's Trump said, according to people familiar with the meeting. What does that mean? According to people familiar with the meeting. They're so pathetic. They're such a fake news organization that they can't even tell you that these were people in the meeting. They can't tell you that they're lawmakers. If you're going to make such an explosive claim, and this is an explosive claim, I mean, to talk bad about countries, it's absolutely, I'm not downplaying it, and I'm going to tell you the truth about these countries, the truth about Africa, the truth about Haiti, and why it is important, because I do have love for African people. I have friends that are African from Africa. I have friends that are Haitian. I have friends that are Caribbean. So I do have love for these areas. But according to people familiar with the meeting, if you're going to make claims like this, who are these people? Are they lawmakers? Are they in the meeting? Did they talk to somebody of the meeting? But before I get into, this is the Washington Post article. You can read it for yourself. Every other news source under the sun, CNN, they're all jumping to conclusions based off this claim from the Washington Post that someone said that Trump said something. And who is the Washington Post? People read the Washington Post and they must think, man, the Washington Post, democracy dies in darkness. I mean, who is... The Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world. He just surpassed Bill Gates as the richest man in the world. He is also the owner of Whole Foods. He bought up Whole Foods recently. He's the owner of Amazon. And if you follow the news at all, Trump is the first president in a long time, as well as many people that are left-leaning progressives and right-leaning conservatives, libertarians, whatever. They've been calling out Amazon because Amazon claims that they don't make a profit. How is Jeff Bezos the richest person in the world? It's because Amazon dodges taxes. They barely pay any taxes because they have some sort of a loophole that they take advantage of where that they claim that they make no profits. One of the most profitable companies in the entire world claims that they make no profits. So Jeff Bezos is already richer than Bill Gates, and he's on an exponential path of being like the richest person in existence, or he already is the richest person in known recorded existence, according to the papers. So Trump calls him out. So this is the first reason. The Washington Post has no reason to ever agree with President Trump. They're never going to tell you the truth about him. They changed their subtitle to Democracy Dies in Darkness because they don't want President Trump there, because he's not owned by Amazon. He's not owned by the lobbyists. He's not owned by pharmacy industries. He's not owned by people. They want someone like Hillary Clinton there who's going to let them get away with whatever they want. Also, Jeff Bezos signed a multi-$100 million contract with the CIA, a cloud contract through Amazon or whatever, and he bought the Washington Post for about half the price that he had the cloud contract for the CIA. So when you're talking about, Eric Trump and other people talk about the deep state, and, I've made several videos on it. Who is the deep state? Are there people in government working against Trump? I mean, you have to be blind to think that there aren't elements within the government, whether it be in intelligence communities or Republicans and Democrats alike, who are working against President Trump, not because they think, he's all being terrible, but he's not who they want there. He's not somebody who's sold out like them. He's not a complete fraud like them. So, of course, they don't want him there. So this is who Amazon is. The Washington Post, the Amazon Washington Post. They're never going to tell you the truth about President Trump. They want him out of office. They have it in their subtitle. Their bias is in their subtitle. Democracy dies in darkness. This has been the most transparent presidency in known recordings in recent history. So democracy dies in darkness, that would be the Obama administration. Democracy dies in darkness would be the Bush administration. Democracy dies in darkness would be every president before Trump. So they basically just flip reality. Everything that they say is almost the total opposite. But back to this actual thing. Once again, you could read the whole article for yourself. People are spreading it. And I say, do you know that they have no source? They have no named source. Nobody's named. It's an anonymous source. They said people familiar with the meeting. You can't even tell me that the person was in the meeting? At least if you're going to create a rumor. And why is the press allowed to do this? Create a national... You wonder why they get called the fake news media. I don't care. I've said a million times. I don't care if you like President Trump. You can hate President Trump. That's fine. But don't believe the fake news media. Don't believe Vox and Washington Post and New York Times, because this is a strategy that they've done multiple times over the past 2 years. And I've caught them doing this several times, and I've called them out. It's either the New York Times or the Washington Post, one of the two, which they act like they're trusted news sources, but they're really the fakest media. That's why the president calls them fake news. Not because they're mean to him and they hurt his feelings. It's because they literally fabricate complete stories and have the power to make you believe anything, like it's a fictional movie. They could say whatever they want, literally. An unnamed source from someone who said someone to someone to someone, put it in a headline, and everyone thinks it's real news. But you go in the article and you realize they have no proof of it. If he said that, we'll talk about that later. But they know the power they have. It's either the Washington Post or the New York Times. They break a story from an anonymous source. They've done it 15 plus times over the past 2 years. They've had to retract multiple fake stories because people called them out. They followed it. They strung along and were like, what are you doing? And then they're like, oh, my bad, I'm sorry. And then they go on to the next fake story. It's always, and this is how you spot fake news. People want to know, anomaly, what news source do you trust? I say none of them, because even all of them have bias, but I don't trust any news source, even, right-leaning ones, whatever. But here's how I spot the fake news. It starts from the New York Times or the Washington Post. They say an anonymous source, or, oh, according to people familiar with people who are familiar with people who might have been in the meeting. I mean, it's in their own article. You just have to have a brain and a sense of, like, honesty. If you're going to share a whole article based on the headline, at least make sure that there's something in the article. I don't share articles based on anonymous sources. But it starts in the New York Times and the Washington Post, and if they report it, then all the other media, people say to me, anomaly, well, it's not just the Washington Post that reported it. CNN reported it, and MSNBC and Fox. They reported based off the Washington Post report. If you read any of the news about Trump saying that they're shithole countries, they say based off Washington Post report. So it starts with the Washington Post and the New York Times, and then everyone else reports on it as it's news, even if it's not. One of the biggest widespread lies of the entire year, besides the whole Russia conspiracy that they still have no proof for, was that 17 intelligence agencies said that it was true. You've probably heard it a million times. Well, how could Trump go against 17 intelligence agencies? How could Trump go against 17 intelligence agencies? CNN said it 1,000 times. MSNBC said it 1,000 times. Washington Post said it 1,000 times. New York Times said it 1,000 times. If you check the New York Times, if you Google search it and check their website, it might be hard to find because they bury it with the algorithm and they make it incredibly hard to even see. But they had to retract that story. The 17 intelligence agency stories that they referenced for a year never happened, and they retracted the story. That's a fake news story that never existed, was never true, that they've said tens of thousands of times. CNN, for a year, made fun of Trump multiple times, over 20, 30 plus times. They said Trump is crazy for saying that the Trump Tower was wiretapped. He's a lunatic. I mean, you probably heard it or shared an article from it. If you don't like Trump, oh my God, he said that there's wire. It ended up getting wiretapped. They admitted it one time on air, and now they never talk about it again. They lie all of the time, and I don't care if you don't like Trump. Just don't believe all of this fake news. And let's get down to the actions. They're talking about Haiti, El Salvador, and African countries. I don't have enough time, plus I don't even want to talk about it because you can find out for yourself. But if you want to figure out what actually happened to Haiti, like if you don't want to go based off a rumor, based on what someone said, that Washington Post said, that Trump said, Google Haiti, Google people involved in Haiti, Google the politicians involved in Haiti after the earthquake, and you find out which politicians, which corrupt politicians did something terrible to Haiti. I'm not even going to tell you if you're, semi-intelligent, or I'm not to knock anybody's intelligence or whatever, but if you know anything about anything, you already know who destroyed Haiti and who stole the resources from Haiti. You can do that research. I'm not going to say it. And then when it comes to African countries, this year there was a bombshell report that slavery, slave trading, and organ harvesting is a reality in Libya now, based off a radical ideology that took power in Libya, but also based off the fact that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, which they admitted to, this is not me saying that someone else said, they're on camera laughing and bragging about it. Hillary Clinton takes credit for it. It's not an anonymous clone. You know exactly who it is. They went and killed the leader of Libya and left it a complete mess, because what happens to a country when you kill the leader and just don't do anything with it? I mean, that's slave trading and organ harvesting. So you want to talk about the bombshell stories in Haiti and Africa? Let's talk about them. I mean, I love Haitian people. I love African people. So let's talk about what really happened there. Not this anonymous claim by someone who said someone who said someone, because guess what? I would never say terrible words about another country and say they're a shithole or whatever, but even if Trump said that they're shithole countries, I don't know that he did. I'm not him. I'm not speaking on behalf of him. He clearly says millions of things that I would never say if I was running for president or whatever, but we're different people. I don't hold it against him. Even if he said that they're shithole countries, which is not a nice thing to say, it's totally a mean and arrogant thing to say, especially if you're broadening the whole continent. That's very rude and very inaccurate. But even if he said that, if it's true that he said that, which it clearly has not been proven true yet, but if it is true, guess what? bombshell spoiler alert that, of course, is like a revolutionary statement, even though it's a basic truth. Words don't matter as much as actions. It just isn't true, and it's never going to be true. If Trump stands in a corner and says that they're shithole countries, and you have other politicians raping them of resources, killing their leaders, and leaving a complete power vacuum for slave trading and organ harvesting, what's a bigger deal? The guy who said something mean, or the fact that there's actual politicians that are responsible for the murder and, removal of what some people think is one of the best African leaders in the past decade, and some people think he was horrible. But either way, almost everybody agrees Libya's worse off now that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama went there. So we have to get past this Kardashian, LeVar Ball, Donald Trump era of just complete fictional rumors. Words don't matter. Rumors don't matter. Your feelings don't matter. Actions matter. What really happens matters. Even if I say the meanest thing in the world, what matters is what people are doing. I'm not saying to be mean. I'm personally as kind as I can be. I don't speak like Trump. But if you think words matter more than actions, you're going to keep getting played. And if you don't read the story and read that they don't even have a source, they can't even confirm that the person saying that was in the meeting. They're saying people familiar with the meeting. And this is the report that all the other ones report on it. I mean, what are we going to become? If we're so foolish that we play into our biases, we'll share any article just because it caters to our emotions or caters to our political feelings, even if there's anonymous sources, nobody knows who said it, they can't even confirm that they were in the meeting, and even if they were, it's still just a rumor until there's proof. It's just absolutely mind-boggling to me that this is how far we've fallen. And this is considered trusted news. And this is who Google wants to work with. And this is who Facebook wants to work with. And these are the companies that Twitter features. I mean, it's just disgusting to me that this is the world that we have to live in. Because I don't know where this is going to end up. If they continue to do this for the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years and just shove fake news stories, and all someone has to do is say something, and then Washington Post reports on somebody saying something because someone else said something, and then CNN reports on Washington Post that reported on someone that reported on someone, and then Vox and Huffington Post and MSNBC and every news source under the sun can report on it, and everyone believes it just because it's everywhere, even though it started from an anonymous source. What have we become? If it's breaking news, if all it takes is 1 or 2 or 3 people to put an allegation on somebody, whether it's sexual or mental or whatever type of allegation besides sexual that you can have, that's all it takes nowadays. And people are like, but could 2 people lie? Could 3 women lie? I'm not getting into these cases because I haven't studied them and I'm not speaking on behalf of a specific case, but can 3 women lie? Can 3 people lie? Of course they can. What about 10? Can 10 people lie? I mean, of course, there's millions of people that can lie. There's billions of people that can lie. Everybody on the planet can lie. We're not perfect people. So yes, there's 10 people who can lie. Yes, there's 15 people who can lie. And I don't want to live in a world where all it takes is 1 person or 2 person or 3 people or 10 people to make up a claim, a news source to report it, and then that's taken as gospel. And that person has to ruin their whole life and their whole career, and the media destroys their entire character over what somebody said. And that's the world we live in. And people act like, oh, well, would 1 person lie? Of course. I know millions of people that lie. I know tens of millions of people that lie. And especially nowadays, I've seen people, not only to myself, but to other people, they're so politically motivated, they're so into politics, that they'll do anything, including believe a fake news story with anonymous news sources that the actual person who reported the claim can't even tell you who said it, when they said it, and what their relationship to the meeting was. And that's just normal to people. I mean, people eat it up. They want to hear LeVar Ball. They don't want to watch the NBA anymore. They want to just know what LeVar Ball said and what LeVar Ball's doing. They don't want to know what's really going on in politics. They don't want to talk about who's bringing slavery and organ harvesting to the world. They don't want to talk about who's raping a country of resources. They don't want to talk about political corruption and spying and war and murder and all this stuff. We don't want to talk. We just want to talk about what somebody else said about something else. Are we really that dumb of a society? I mean, I already know the answer, but please, I don't care if you like Trump. I don't care if you hate Trump. I don't care if you think the Washington Post is the greatest news source. I don't care if you know the truth about them. And you know that they have none of these news sources are unbiased. The Washington Post, New York Times collaborate. That one of them comes up with a story. They circle jerk, throw it back and forth. CNN picks it up. MSNBC picks it up. And then everyone picks it up. They've done this recipe 10,000 times. They're all extremely biased. The bias of Washington Post is in their headline. Democracy dies in darkness. They're already telling you that they think for some reason that even though this is the most transparent time where somebody outside of the political hemisphere, somebody who's not connected to all of the people, who owes nobody favors, in the greatest era of humanity, they're trying to act like it's some dark, terrible time because their cronies aren't involved. And there's a president who's going to hold them accountable so they don't steal hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes. So that's their motivation. And if we're going to talk about these countries, if we're going to talk about the African countries and Haiti, I think we should have been talking about them for 5+ years. I love, I have love for these countries, and I think they should be talked about. But let's talk about what actually happened there as opposed to the fake news gossip, because they will find a way to flip everything on its head. Recently, they went at a YouTuber. I'm not even going to talk more about it. But he started revealing some stuff, and all of a sudden, it's a featured story. They're accusing him of what he basically was sharing on his page. They know the formula. They know the remedy. And unless we have the ability to call them out and to find out when they're just making statements on anonymous claims, it's going to be a long couple years because they know how to cater to us. They know how to emotionally use us based on our race, religion, and gender. If you're a decent person, of course, if you see the President of the United States calling Africa a shithole country, of course that affects you, as it should. We don't want a president who says that stuff. But isn't it a little bit concerning to you that millions of people are sharing an article based on people familiar with the meeting said, and according to people familiar with the meeting? I'm going down further. There's nowhere in this entire article that they give you a name of who said it. There's nowhere in this entire article that they say what the relationship to the actual meeting was. They won't even tell you that they're in the meeting. I mean, this is disgusting that a story this baseless can get around this much. And then it's a featured story. Oh, the president didn't respond to it. It's like no one with half a brain even thinks about you. This is maybe the last time I'm even going to report on one of your fake stories. From now on, I'm just going to act like they don't exist. But they make up a fake story. They circle jerk, share it around. Oh my God, the president hasn't talked about our fake story yet. What about when CNN had to retract the story about Don Jr. and WikiLeaks because it never happened? What about when New York Times had to retract the fake story about the 17 intelligence communities that you shared 100 times? What about when Washington Post had to retract their story about Russia hacking the power grid because it never happened? Google all three of those. They're all fake news stories by the Washington Post, CNN, and New York Times. And what have you done since then to make us think, oh, you're a real news source who wants to report the news? This is all you do. Is share gossip. Yeah, of course you have real stories, sprinkle them in and stuff and do real reporting. But when it comes to politics, it's all just a deception to get you to think a certain way. And I don't care what somebody says. I don't think it's true because if they had proof of it, they would have put it in here. I mean, these people will publish. I could write something on toilet paper. I could literally write, President Trump said something mean to Asians, write it on toilet paper, call them and be like, hey, I have the big scoop, and they'll probably publish it and be like, people familiar with people in the Trump administration said that, he said mean things about Asians. I mean, this is how desperate and pathetic these people are. They're not journalists. They're not real news organizations, and I would love them to be. And they've never answered. They just retract quietly their story, and then on to the next fake story, and on to the next fake story. And unfortunately, people hate President Trump so much that they're willing to believe anything. And they're boiling your blood with these fake stories, and they just continue to whirl you around their political merry-go-round of fake news. And they don't care that there's no accuracy. They don't care that they don't have sources. They will publish almost anything. People say, oh, normally you're just doing it to get rich, blah, blah, blah. No, if I wanted to get rich and I wanted to get huge, I would just pander. I would make a little rap and be like, oh, Trump sucks. And I'd probably get 100 million views and everyone would love me and I'd be on CNN and Washington Post. But I'm not anywhere. Nobody wants to have me on. because I don't appease to the left, clearly, because I'm calling them out for their BS, their totalitarian, Orwellian style, basically manipulation. Twitter recently got called out. Someone got footage of them basically saying that they, manipulate their site and they're biased, but I don't need a report I have eyes. I don't need somebody to report that. I can see Twitter, I can see Facebook, I can see Google, and they're all incredibly biased. They're all incredibly one-sided, and they're so desperate to take down the president. They don't care if the stock market's rising. They don't care if he's not really racist. They don't care if he could possibly have a good relationship with North Korea. President Obama never even spoke to Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un wanted to talk to Obama via Dennis Rodman. That's what Dennis Rodman said. And Obama never talked to him. Trump's trying to talk to Kim Jong-un. I guarantee you, in a year or two, if the fake news media just stops making up fake news and driving everyone crazy, we'll have a good relationship with North Korea. I highly doubt that President Trump is going to kill an African leader and bring slavery there, but if he does, hold him accountable. Then write the articles. I'm not saying to cover up for Trump, but I'm saying when you make fake stories like this, we don't know what really happened in Haiti. We don't know what really happened in Libya. And we don't really know what President Trump's doing because everyone is looking at the big shiny objects. So either they're working for Trump to hide his real corruption, or they're working against him to take him down, which is more likely, by any way, shape, or form. And I'm sick of it. The fact that everyone shared this story and nobody knows, and then I tell somebody, hey, you realize you shared a story with no claims, and they're like, oh, it's like, yeah, of course, that's what it sounds like to me, because you don't know. I don't know what to say anymore, but this is like the 15th time they've done it. It's one of the most widespread stories, and if this turns out to be fake and to be false, I hope people are paying attention. And if it turns out to be true, on one hand, I stand corrected, and on the other hand, it still doesn't equate to all of the real life things happening. I'm not saying that it would be a good thing. I would personally be a little bit disturbed by those words, but on the same token, I implore all the people very mad to go, visit some of these areas. And unfortunately, Haiti is still suffering from the earthquake, and it's not because of President Trump. Do your research and figure out why they're still suffering. Thank you guys so much for listening. I just want to let people know, if this is going to be a mainstream bombshell story, that there's no sources on it, and I would love to see the sources. I would love to see what the White House says, and we'll see if it's true or not. But hopefully, throughout this whole story or this video, you're able to understand what they've done 20 plus times. And it's not like they're confirmed stories just because they're all over the place. This is what the anti-Trump media does. They will jump on anything just to get it out there. If it's negative and it's hateful and it can make him look racist, that's fine. But he did a bunch of things this week that were the opposite of racism. African American unemployment is its lowest that it's ever been in the United States. It's just a fact. He designated Martin Luther King Jr. Park. He gave him a whole National Historic Park. I'm not saying that's the be-all, end-all. I think unemployment's a little more important than a park. But I'm just saying these are positive, optimistic, kind stories that he does every week that they'll never share. And then the big bombshell story that gets around times 50 has no real sources on it. So that's just the truth. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you would like to donate and support my news analysis, the link will be below. If you would like to pick up a shirt, it's dreamrare.com. That's the name of the website that has shirts. If you would like to sign up to my email list, that's free and easy and takes 5 seconds. I'm going to post the link below. Follow me on Instagram if you would like, DreamRare, DreamRare. Follow me on Twitter if you would like, Legendary Energy. I'm launching my own news network very soon. It's going to be more optimistic, more positive, less fake. I'm not going to do anonymous sources. I'm going to keep it as unbiased and to the point as possible. I don't want to become a gossip news organization that has the same credibility as TMZ. I would actually say TMZ has more credibility because although TMZ is a gossip website, TMZ actually has the scoop on a lot of things way earlier, whereas the New York Times and Washington Post, they basically lie a lot and have to retract their stories even more than TMZ. So I would say they're a step below TMZ. The only difference is they're masquerading as an unbiased, objective organization. Just be honest about who you are. Thank you guys so much. Once again, the links will be below in the comment section. Follow me on Facebook. Check out some of my other videos. I got a bunch. And much love. Like I said, I don't care specifically, I just call it how I see it. I call it what it is. I want to help people in Africa. I want to help people in Haiti and in the United States. And we're not going to do that by following the shiny object and just following people's words. I mean, actions matter. And politicians have used words to keep us in a loop. They've been nice. They've been kind. They've said what we wanted them to say. And look what they've done. Research what they've done. Follow actions, not so much words. Follow my page if you like. Thank you guys so much again. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. And most importantly, God bless the world. God bless Earth. God bless the animals. God bless Africans. God bless Haitians. It's all love over here. I don't care if you love or hate Trump or you're left or right. I'm just calling it like I see it because I don't care if it leans conservative. I don't care if it leans liberal. I am about the truth. I want to know what's real. So if I find that one side of the political debate owns 95% of the news organizations and they own Twitter and they own Facebook and they own Google and they lie about everything, yes, I'm going to talk about that more, not because I'm not being fair, it's just because that's the current thing. If you want to talk about totalitarianism in an Orwellian state, it's not going to come from conservatives right now. Conservatives want smaller government. They want the government to stay out of their lives. The left, the political Democrats, and even the Republicans like Mitt Romney and John McCain, they're masquerading around as social justice warriors using fake articles like this to loop people in, take more taxes, take bigger government, and they already have an Orwellian-like state around all the social media. So the real, complete authoritarianism and totalitarianism and fascism, if it's going to come, it's going to come from the left. It's going to come from these people and these news sources that act like they care about you, that act like they care about black people, that act like they care about Africans and Latinos and, the LGBT community, but they're really just funneling us into pure destruction, into no common sense, no truth, just like pure gossip and speculation. And it's up to us to stop that. Much love. God bless. Thank you.